The slot in your door slams open and a guard shoves a tray through without breaking stride. That's how you know it's starting. Not the shouting, not the smoke, the tray. You've been at Coldwater State for 11 years, all of it on the general population block, ever since a judge decided 3 counts of armed robbery was worth 25 to life. 11 years is long enough to read a room. Long enough to know that when the trays come early, something is already wrong. The shouting starts 2 tiers up. Cell block D runs 4 tiers, and sound travels in here the way it does in a concrete box, which is to say, it travels everywhere at once, and you can't tell distance from direction. What you can tell is volume. What you're hearing right now is not a fight between 2 men. It's wider than that. You eat fast, not because you're hungry, because you don't know when the next meal is coming, and your body learned that lesson around year 4. The first rule in a riot is that you don't go looking for the riot. Every instinct in here since day 1 has been to see what's happening, to walk toward the noise, to find out. That instinct will get you killed today. You sit on your bunk with the tray between your feet, and you watch the slot in your door. The slot is about 3 inches tall. Right now, it's the most important window in the world. Fate. You count feet going past. Running feet are bad. Walking feet means someone with authority is moving through the block. No feet means you're the only one staying put, which is either the safest or the most dangerous thing depending on what you can't see. The lights cut out. Not a flicker, a full cut, and then the emergency strips come on along the floor, orange and dim, and the whole tier goes the color of something burnt. You hear a door bang open somewhere above you, then another, then a sound that's less like a sound and more like a pressure change, a collective movement, something coordinated or something unleashed. You can't tell which yet. Your door is locked. You check it anyway, pressing your palm flat against the metal and pushing. Locked. That's good. That's the best thing in the room right now. The second rule is distance. If your door is locked and the block is running, your job is to keep as much material as possible between yourself and whatever is out there. You move to the back wall, the 6 feet of concrete between your bunk and the window, and you sit on the floor. The floor is cold. It's always cold. Down here, your head is below the level of the slot, and nothing coming through that slot is going to reach you unless it's meant to. You hear glass breaking, then something that sounds like a fire, not the crackle, but the roar underneath the crackle, and the smell hits 3 seconds later, acrid and plastic, somewhere between a burning tire and a cigarette left on a linoleum floor. Something is on fire on the tier above, and the ventilation in Coldwater State was built in 1973 and runs straight down. You pull your shirt up over your nose. You've been through 2 lockdowns in 11 years, both of them over fast, a fight in the yard that spread, a stabbing that the guards contained in under 10 minutes. This is different. This has been running for 6 minutes already, and the emergency strips are still the only lights, and you haven't heard a single guard voice since the tray slot. The third rule is that you don't open your door. Not for noise, not for smoke, not for someone calling your name. Not for someone calling for help. You know what that sounds like, and you know it works. You've seen men open their doors for it. You don't know what happened to them after that because you didn't open yours. Something hits your door. Once, hard, from outside, and then nothing. You watch the slot. The slot shows you the orange light in the floor of the tier, and one smear of something dark you can't identify and don't want to. You breathe through your shirt, and you wait. Around the 8-minute mark, the noise reorganizes itself. Riots have a shape if you've been inside long enough to map it. First, there's the ignition, fast and loud. Then, there's the spread, which is the phase you just lived through, the sound going from one point to everywhere. Then there's the consolidation, where the people doing the damage stop moving and start defending something, a space, a stash, a score they're settling. The sound changes when that happens. It gets more localized, louder in one place, quieter everywhere else. Right now, it's getting quieter outside your door. That means the action is moved, probably up to Tier 3 where you heard the door bang. It does not mean it's over. Not close. You got a roll of toilet paper on the shelf above the sink. You tear off a length, wet it, fold it twice, and press it over your mouth. Smoke is at the ceiling level for now. You stay on the floor. This is the kind of thing you learn when you have time to think about it. And in 11 years, you have had a great deal of time to think. The fourth rule is that if your door opens without you opening it, you get behind it. Not because it helps much, because it's the only option in a 7x12 cell with one exit. You get in the corner where the door swings open, and you put the door between you and whatever comes through it. And you hope whoever it is decides you're not worth it. Your door doesn't open. What happens instead, after somewhere around 18 minutes of the orange light and the smell and the floor getting colder against your thighs, is that the main lights come back on. All of them, all at once, white and institutional, and so bright after the orange that you have to shut your eyes. Then the intercom. The intercom at Coldwater crackles before it speaks, a 2-second hiss, and you've heard it every count day for 11 years. The voice that comes through now is not the regular count voice. It's someone else, slower, reading from something. Controlled movement. All inmates are to remain in their assigned cells. Emergency response teams are on block. You will be contacted individually when your cell is cleared for inspection. Emergency response teams. That's the gray uniforms, the ones who come in with the long shields and the full helmets, the ones who don't know your name and aren't interested in learning it. They clear block by block, cell by cell, and they are not polite about it, and they're not meant to be. You've seen them twice before, both times after the lockdowns, and both times they moved fast and hit first if they thought you were moving wrong. You put the wet paper down. You sit on your bunk with your hands on your knees, palms flat, fingers spread. When the gray uniforms reach your door, the first thing they'll want to see is that your hands are empty and visible and still. You practice this without thinking about it. Palms flat, fingers spread. Something you picked up somewhere around year 2 and never dropped. The wait between the intercom and the knock is 31 minutes. You count them. You count them because it's something to do with your brain while your body sits still, and because in here, counting things has become a reflex. You can't quite switch off. 31 minutes and then the knock, which is not really a knock, more of a single heavy impact that means open now. You cross the cell in 4 steps and press yourself against the wall to the left of the door, then call out that you're moving to the door. They tell you to back to the far wall, hands up. You back to the far wall, hands up. They clear your cell in 40 seconds. 2 of them, gray uniforms, helmets with the dark visors that make them look like something out of a different century. They check the corner behind the door, they check under the bunk, they look at you long enough to assess, and then one of them says, "Clear," into a radio on his shoulder, and they're gone. The door stays open. Open is controlled movement protocol, which means you can see out onto the tier and you wish you couldn't. Tier 2 is a mess. Trays on the floor, something that used to be a plastic chair, 2 dark patches on the concrete that could be a lot of things, and you decide to identify them as water. One cell, 3 doors down, has a door that's bent outward in a way that doors are not supposed to bend. You don't know how. You look at it for a moment and then you stop looking. The count, when they finally do it, takes 2 hours. They move cell by cell with clipboards, 2 guards you haven't seen before and 1 regular. And when they reach you, the regular one, a man named Dorset, who's worked Tier 2 for 6 years, looks at you for a second longer than the clipboard requires. He doesn't say anything. You don't either. There's nothing that needs saying. By the time the trays come again, it's past dark. You can tell by the window, a slit in the concrete about 8 inches wide, which is exactly the width of the window, and has been your only direct read on whether it's day or night for 11 years. The tray has a sandwich and a fruit cup, and a carton of something orange. You eat it sitting on the bunk. The block is quiet in a way it usually isn't. Not the lockdown quiet of a normal night, which has its own sounds, the ventilation, the occasional door, someone talking in their sleep 2 cells over. This quiet is different. This quiet is 20 men deciding independently that tonight is not the night for noise. You finish the sandwich. You put the tray by the door. You lie down on the bunk and look at the ceiling, which has a water stain in the shape of nothing in particular that you've been looking at for 11 years. You're still here. That's the count for today. Still here. 14 more years to go. You've done worse days.